Well, this is the 57 Chevy I brought home, and that's the shape that it was originally in when I got it. Those floors are completely rusted out. They're shot. Everything's got to come out of it. Uh, Even the rear trunk pan has had it. It's shot. That's going to have to come out. And you'll see as I start cutting pieces out here, what's left of the car that doesn't have rust. And there's not much of it that's left. Had no engine, no tranny in it, and the frame was actually bent. So when I bought it, I got another 57 Chevy along with it, and I'm going to use the frame from the other 57 Chevy. Now, it looks like it's in pretty good shape, but believe me, up close it's rusted out really bad. There's a little closer shot. They use a black tar that they put in there to hide all the rust. And you can see where the seams are coming apart. Even the inner fenders, everything's going to have to come out of this car. You can actually see straight through to the floor in the trunk here that I'm looking at. And it's where I'm getting ready to start cutting it out. I got the air chisel, and piece by piece, it's coming apart. That's the trunk pan completely removed. I still have the inner wells in and the floor pan that has to come out. Now that doesn't look like it's rust, but it's been at least 2 or 3 sheets of plaster of metal put over that. In order to get the inner wells out, I had to cut the rear quarters off in order to cut those out and get the new inner wells in. So this is what it's starting to look like as I'm cutting it apart. You can see the rear quarter standing alongside the car again, so I can get to the inners. Now this is just about everything completely out of it except for those inner fender wells. And basically, by the time I get the inner fender wells out and the frames off of it, I have just about nothing left. In fact, I built a small wooden frame to hold it up. And that wooden frame is going to allow me to also put it back down on top of the floor pan and the new frame. I had to weld supports in from side to side. You can see the steel I've welded in there because we cut so much metal out of it. Anything that had rust came out of this car. And basically what I wound up with is pretty much just a roof and the front firewall. That also included, I didn't cut out at this time, but it included the rocker panels at the doors. Those were cut out eventually because they had just as much rust as the floor pan had in there. Now, this is just about stripped completely here. That's the last thing that's left. I'm getting ready to put in the new inner wells, and they had to slip in from the upper side. Now there's the passenger side that's put in, and I welded that in place. I chose to use a spot weld drill bit to get rid of most of the spot welds in it, and then what I couldn't reach, I just used my jackhammer to jack it out. Now there's the left passenger or driver's side quarter off, and I'm getting ready to put the new inner inside there. The car, as you can see, is just completely stripped. At this point, it's not very stable, and so we got to be very gentle with it, just so we don't start bending the fins, etc. You can see where I welded in the bars for support, for some extra support, all the way across, and from side to side, and from door jamb to door jamb. Not much left of this car. Basically, I bought just a roof and a title. Now here you see both inner wells are in, and they are welded back into place. And we've got a little bit of stability now in the car, but it's still, we need to be very careful with it. At this point, I've not put in any of the seam sealer. I'll do that around the back side after I put in the trunk pan and the floor pan. That's the frame. I did sandblast the frame that I'm going to put underneath of it. It came out of a four-door, and all of the Tri-5s are the exact same frame. Doesn't matter if it's two-door, four-door. Now that's the frame after it's been sandblasted and painted. And I put the new floor pan and trunk pan bolted to the frame. And I'm going to slide the whole thing up underneath the car. I found this to be the easiest way to do it, and leaving it on that homemade stand that I made, and then I just jacked the frame up to the car. And at that point, when I had everything level and even, then I started welding the floor pan and the trunk pan back into place, using the frame to hold it up with. And you can see along the seams there, we're not quite closed all the way up, we're just about there. But it was easier to do the floor pan and trunk pan all at one time. Now there's the floor pan is in place up against the front firewall. You're looking underneath the dash right there. And at this point it's just about all welded in. You can see those rocker arms have been cut off. I no longer needed those for support. So the rear quarters, the inners and the trunk pan are now being welded back together, along with welding it to the front of the dash. There's my rear quarters back on, all welded back together. A lot of body work done, but as little putty as we could, as necessary to put it back together. Now I need to close up that front end because I'm not going to use the any of the old heaters or any of the holes that's in there. So what I've done is I made plates, welded them in place, and you can see the finished product for the front dash. By the way, this is me and then my friends who hang around the garage with me and make this stuff happen. There's Dana, Ron, and my other buddy Dave.